there is some college for you. Georgia State visiting Marshall in the Sun Belt tonight, -9.5 for the Thundering Herd. And then an ACC game, Boston College visiting Blacksburg to see Virginia Tech, who's 7.5-point favorites here with a 48.5 total.
Yeah, I got to tell you. So I'm on, I definitely bet Virginia Tech today, and I laid the points, actually. I think they played them there a few years ago. I remember a big game on a Thursday night, and they beat them like 30-10. And Virginia Tech impressed me against Miami. They really did. And then Boston College impressed me when they played their first couple of games, right? And then they kind of fell back into being Boston College again, right? That they're not playing well. They have a quarterback. I'll give you that much. So it is sketchy laying the 7.5. But that Lane Stadium will be rocking tonight in Blacksburg. And I think Va Tech needs this desperately. And I think that other game is going to be wild. Marshall and Georgia State, I think they go over.
Looks like a good over to me as well tonight. Total in that one, like I said, 51.5 for Georgia State and Marshall. Lots of potential for points there. All right, most impressive turnaround here as we've hit kind of the halfway point for pretty much everybody in college football. We have Indiana at 6-0. They were 3-9 last year. Miami from 7-6, 6-0. BYU 6-0 after a 5-7 year. Army and Navy both 6-0 and 5-0, and then Nebraska at 5-1. Great turnarounds so far in college football.
Well, I think frankly, the most important one to me is the Miami Hurricanes. I know I'm a Canes fan my whole life, but the reality is, you know it, and so does everybody else. If you can't admit the fact that college football is better when Miami's good, it's no different than the NBA is better when the Lakers and the Celtics are good, and that's just all there is to it. I think Miami being undefeated and mattering and being in the top 10, being number 6, pulling a couple of games out of their arse. They got a great quarterback. Everyone wants the best teams in college football to be at their peak every year. And Miami, when they're good, it makes college football better without a doubt. I actually don't think anyone cares about BYU. I think they're a really good team. I like them. They win in Provo and they cover. I don't think anyone really cares that Army and Navy are undefeated. More people care about the Army-Navy game itself than they do the fact that both of those teams are undefeated and both of them are ranked. I mean, let's face facts. If Army and Navy played any of the teams, in my opinion, in the top 5 or top 10, they're going to lose.
Smashed is what would happen. Stanton walked, by the way. So first and second with Jazz Chisholm up now.
Oh, this is the end of this rally. Christ,
a lot of confidence in Jazz here as he comes up against Boyd with 2 on and 2 out in the top of the first.
Over if he gets ahead. I'm surprised he fouled one off.
This Boyd, as we know, he's usually not long for these games anyway. 3 innings, 4 innings, and they're racking him up here, taking all these pitches. He's already in the mid-20s in the first inning. So once again, just like the first two games,
struck out looking. He struck out looking.
There you go.
And then he's arguing with the ump. And his ump already giving the Yankees the business in the first inning with the call with the bat boy and the call on the check swing on Judge. And the third strike call on Jazz was low and down, and he gave him that strike. So they already are giving the dugout is giving this guy heat already. If they keep it up, I won't be surprised he tosses Boone.
That was an awful third strike call. That ball was low, very, very low underneath the zone. Bad call by that ump. So that, like you said, that ump off to a very shaky start here.
They're giving him the business.
As they go to the bottom of the first in Cleveland. Cam Ward leads the ACC in passing yards. He's been unbelievable so far. Of course, Alabama and Tennessee, we're going to talk a lot more about all these huge games tomorrow on a Friday, a pain-free Friday going into the weekend on Coast to Coast. They have won 9 of their last 10 games against Tennessee. The traditional third Saturday in October matchup between the Tide and the Vols. So once again, we will discuss more tomorrow. Tennessee, one thing I'll say about this is Tennessee, Scotty, remember when they were scoring like 50, 60 points every week at the beginning of the year.
What happened to that?
They need to find a little bit more of that because the last few weeks against Arkansas and Florida, they've lost that.
They
that
won't
love and
score
feeling.
24 points against Alabama.
Highest college football coaches this year, only 7 reached the 10 million plus mark this year, Scotty. Kirby Smart, Dabo Swinney, Sarkisian, Lincoln Riley, Ryan Day, Mike Norvell, and Kalen DeBoer. Those top 7 all make 10 million or more. Kelly, Mark Stoops, Lane Kiffin, Eli Drinkwitz, and Josh Heupel finish off your list there. Man, Mark Stoops, $9 million a year at Kentucky. Look out!
Listen, he doesn't deserve $9 million for the job that he does, and they're average, and they've always been average. And I'll tell you another guy that's overpaid is Lincoln Riley. I mean, he's making a boatload of money and not doing anything. He was better at Oklahoma. What has he done at USC besides lose big games? Honestly.
That has been a bad investment for USC so far. All that money that they've paid Lincoln Riley.
DeBoer got that money because it's Alabama. I don't think he's worth that much money anywhere else. He's not making that kind of money. He didn't make no $10 million at Washington. You get that because you're coaching at Alabama. You can thank Nick Saban for that.
Precisely right. That's what you need to do. Here we go. A couple racks for you here. Ramirez still up against Schmidt. Wisconsin at Northwestern this week. A couple Big Ten games for you. Wisconsin, the road favorite. UCLA at Rutgers. Arizona State visiting Cincinnati. South Carolina goes to Oklahoma. Oklahoma -1.5. And USC, who we were just talking about, 7.5-point favorites going all the way across the country to College Park to see Maryland on Saturday afternoon.
Well, they're better than Maryland. I think they'll win in College Park. We saw Northwestern win in College Park last week, and no one saw that coming. But I think Northwestern loses in Chicago to Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin's starting to play good football for Fickle. They seem to have found their way. So I'm going to go Badgers. Rutgers laid an egg at home the last time they played in Piscataway. I still think they're better than UCLA on Saturday. Arizona State is a very interesting team. They're going to give Cincinnati problems. I say the Sun Devils go to Cincinnati and knock off the Bearcats. And I'll tell you what, I want no part of that Oklahoma-South Carolina game. Oklahoma will win that game because the game's in Norman and they'll get all the calls. But Oklahoma looks terrible to me, and their quarterbacks stink. They're awful.
Certainly do. Schmidt did strike out Ramirez. Great pitch, too, to do it. To get the first out of the inning.
Another ground out, so they got 2 outs now, and they got runners at second and third.
Okay, so Naylor grounds out with the fielder's choice there. Got to get this next guy to be able to get out of there. Yeah, they weren't going to turn 2 on that one, so nice job by Birdie getting the out. 2 down with second and third. North Carolina State, NC State's going to Cal. I'll quickly run these in. Houston, Kansas, Baylor, Texas Tech, Iowa, Michigan State, and North Texas and Memphis. Actually, good game in the American. Both have played well.
Yeah, look, I think that number's too big in the Memphis game, believe it or not. And I think Iowa goes to East Lansing and wins. I think they're better than Michigan State, hands down. They're going to get out of it. Jazz over at third, throw to first, out of the jam. Great job with the defense, especially Birdie at first with a snag in the dirt, with a short hop. Baylor, Texas Tech, watch out. They're tough to beat in Lubbock. I like the Red Raiders. Houston and Kansas, I want no part of that. Give me the under. Kansas sucks. They can't, they can't cover. They can't win. Their girlfriends are ugly. NC State at Cal, they're going to go out to Berkeley and lose to Cal, but that's a giant number for Cal to cover.